Thank you guys for tuning into a special edition of the Sit Down with Malik Wright. As I did every game last year, recaps. Bengals got crushed by the Cleveland Browns, and me and Daniel, we're here to break it all down for you guys. Remember to give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live. Yeah, that was the weirdest week one start, but we talked about it on State of the Jungle about how this, the problems this Cleveland Browns team posed to the Cincinnati Bengals, and it reared its ugly head again. Time and time again. Daniel, I've got a lot that I want to say.
Yeah.
A lot of thoughts on a lot of things.
Yeah.
But before I jump into that, I'm gonna let you get, kick this one off.
So there's a lot of different players and, schemes and things that we want to discuss, but I'm just going to start it off with, we got a lot of people. And once again, we appreciate you being in the comments. Drop your questions down, drop your opinions and your thoughts on the games down. We got a lot of people saying, keep that same energy, right? Keep that same energy. You guys were critical of other teams. Be critical of the Bengals. Of course, we're going to be critical. They lost 3-23 in their, home season opener. Their offense, Joe Burrow threw for less than 100 yards. And I wish I had the clip to pull up, but Joe Burrow in the press conference, he was asked the question. He said, Zac Taylor, said you guys did some great things on offense today. What were your thoughts on that? He said, wonder what those were, right? And that's kind of the thing of how the game went. Joe Burrow and the offense couldn't get anything going. And there's a lot you can blame it on. I still saw a team that's reminiscent of what we saw last year, a team that still has the makings to go far. I'm not going to press the panic button, but I'm going to be critical. The offense sucked. The offense was terrible today. It was horrible. And it goes back to, flashes of last season. My biggest issue early on, and a lot of people's issues, were the offense had no spark. You couldn't get them in a rhythm. And right away, five-yard out to T. Higgins gets batted down. Get Jamar Chase involved. Do something different. So I loved Joe Mixon. I thought they tried to establish the run. I thought they were doing good. But I'm going to be honest, Joe Burrow just didn't have it today. And for me, that's what it comes down to. The offense could have schemed more things up. The offensive line could have played better. But I'm looking at these stats, 83 yards. I blame a lot of this on Joe Burrow, and I'm sure he blames a lot of it on himself as well. So
you guys know me. I'm very critical. I'm hard when I need to be. I don't hold punches. I'm not going to hold punches here. For those of you who think I'm going to hold punches, you must not know me. Be honest with you, it's year 5 of the Zac Taylor era, and it's the same thing over and over again. The slow starts over and over again. It's becoming an issue. Listen, you design your football team to beat the teams in your division, and then, you design teams, especially when you're competing for a championship, to compete against the teams that are of the upper echelon. That is what you do, right? The Cleveland Browns have clearly constructed their roster to defeat the Cincinnati Bengals. That is why they've had so much success against us, right? I'll just say this. I was very confused by the game plan, especially knowing it was raining, especially knowing, it didn't seem like whatever was going on with Joe Burrow's hand, maybe he couldn't feel the ball correctly. I don't understand for the life of me why you go away from the running game when it was working.
Yep.
I don't understand for the life of me why you try to have this big play style of offense against the Cleveland Browns, a team that we know their front four is going to be ferocious. I really was shocked about how quickly the Cincinnati Bengals coaching staff went away from the running game. It was absolutely abysmal. Joe Mixon was actually having a really good game, and the Cleveland Browns were having a tough time. The Cleveland Browns were having a tough time with him. And then we go away from that, right? Just to give you guys just a little bit of, sense of what I'm referring to. It seemed like our interior of our offensive line was able to get a real push, for the running game. And for some reason, this coaching staff said, you know what? Now's the time for us to drop back in the pocket, stay in shotgun, and just let Joe Burrow air it out. It was very clear on that you don't have it. And when you have things, when you have a game like this, or when it's very evident that you don't have it, you should go away from it. My thing is, I could see if nothing was working, but the running game was actually working. You were getting plays from your running backs, whether it be Chris Evans, whether it be Joe Mixon. You were getting plays, but more specifically, Joe Mixon. I want to talk about that because Joe Mixon looked damn good. Um,
13 carries,
yeah,
56 yards.
yeah. To me, this is a game where you keep hammering the running game. You keep hammering the running game. And then what do you hope? You hope for those things to open up. You can't come out there right away. Especially to me, it's like they teach you that in football 101 back in elementary. Like if it's raining outside, you want to take the air out the football. If you're dealing with an over aggressive defense, you want to take the air out the football. That's what run screen, do things that kind of marry off of the running game, not the screen passes to Jamar Chase. Now that one that he did have where he made something out of nothing almost, that was good, right? But for me, it's like it's a not yeah, to your point. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Seagrave. There's too many go routes and too many just like backyard football style-esque plays, man. It was clear this Cleveland Browns defense wanted to test the Bengals offense, and they were gonna be like, you know what, mano a mano a mano. Let's see what happens. And that's really what they did. They didn't do anything creative besides
Yeah.
bring pressure, blitz, and dare us to beat them. That's what happened today.
And when you look at it, like there were a couple of times I applaud, Joe Burrow a couple of times, like attack the deep ball. Jamar Chase, like drew the one passing interference. That's what you've got to do more of. And it sucks because we're having the same conversation that we were last year of
Mhm.
just test it out. I believe it was the first 2 weeks last year. They weren't doing that. And then the third week, we were watching the game and the first play of the game, T. Higgins go route, draw passing interference. That's what you've got to do. You've got to test defenses. Give credit where credit's due. The Browns played cover two a lot of times. Denzel Ward played good defense on both T. Higgins
Mhm.
and Jamar Chase. So did, the Browns secondary did a good job. I'm just frustrated because it was like there was no real punch.
Mhm.
Their offense lacked a punch. So Joe Mixon was doing great, but besides
Uh,
that, there was
yeah.
no
Listen,
punch.
you have Joe Burrow, you have Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, T against Tyler Boyd. One of the most prolific offenses, and the offensive line was an upgrade. We didn't do the offensive line any favors today. We didn't do any
Yep.
offensive line any favors today from the get go. It was press your backs up against the wall, and let's make this offense tick. Not like that. I feel like we show no respect to what the Browns had coming back at us because if we did, we would have adjusted.
And also another thing, I want to bring up one specific point. I think this one play was, is the epitome of the game. And it was third down, and they ran a little flat route to Irv Smith. For me, I was like, do something different, even if it's 3rd and 3. All right, send Jamar Chase and lob it up 1-on-1. Run a deep post to T. Higgins. Do something different. But a flat route to Irv Smith. And also, this goes to show Joe Burrow, that was his first read
Mhm.
right away. It was snap the ball, see Irv Smith, boom, double covered. And how is that the play? So whether that's play calling, whether that's Joe Burrow not being comfortable because he didn't get the preseason reps,
And
that
that 100% could be the
yeah,
case. Like let me be very clear. I am not pressing the panic button.
yeah,
It's more so the tiresome because we all know in January and February the Cincinnati Bengals are still going to be there. Let me just be very very clear about that. For anybody that was expecting me to sit on here and be like, you know what, throwing the towel. I'm not here. I'm not saying that. Is the annoying part is hear me out. We talk about this team being the 1 seed, right? We talk about this team, right? We talk about this team being the 1 seed and playing for the 1 seed. You've got to take advantage of games like this because the Browns kept us in the game. Deshaun Watson did not play amazing today.
yep.
He kept us in the game. He gave us opportunities. So when you talk about it, right? These are the games that when we look back in February and we're like, damn, if we could have beat the Cleveland Browns in week 1, right? We would have maybe that could have been the differences of us having the 1 seed, right? Of us, having home field advantage. But guess what? The Chiefs gave us an open thing, an open platter, right? The Chiefs lost to the Lions, and this was our golden moment to capitalize. Now it's going to be some other team's moment to capitalize. Maybe it's the Bills' moment to capitalize. Maybe it's the Jets, right? Because everybody seems to be on that bandwagon. But the fact of the matter, these are the games that we talk about. These are the games that people were going to forget in a couple of weeks when the Bengals are winning and they have a winning record and it looks great. And we're like, damn, we need to win this game. But guess what, guys? If we would have started the season out strong and we would have won these games, these are the games that can make the difference in the Bengals, having home field advantage for the long haul. I'm not by any means pressing panic on the Bengals playoff hopes or the Bengals being my Super Bowl pick or any of that kind of stuff. It's more so you have to take advantage of opportunities when they present themselves. The Bengals were gifted an opportunity, they didn't take advantage. And it seems like this is the reoccurring theme of the Zac Taylor era.
So Malik, there's a lot to unpack, and we want to get to, you guys' questions. The one thing I want to just talk about, Malik, I'm looking at the stats. T. Higgins, 8 targets, 0 receptions.
Mhm.
So I want to ask you this question, man. What did you see out of T. Higgins today? Was it more of a thing of, okay, the offense, wasn't rolling, but also some people are saying, was he just not trying? I don't think that's fair to say, but 8 targets, 0 receptions. What's your thoughts?
I just think the offense as a whole was just off today. As a whole, the offense was off today. I could point to Irv Smith. I could point to like the receivers as a whole, but the reason why the receivers were as a whole were off is because Joe Burrow was off today. Now we could talk about the rust. We could talk about the injury. We could talk about so many different things. Listen, I had to believe that he was healthy enough to, to be out there because that's what everybody talked about. I mean, that's what we heard about. He looks great, looks good, looks like he's ready to go. This is just frustrating, to be honest with you. It's frustrating because it's the same story. Now, do I think the Bengals are going to get the Browns back later in the season? Yes, I do. I think, but that's not the point. Is you're supposed to take advantage of these type of moments because you don't want to be playing for behind the 8 ball. And now you have another divisional opponent. I know the Ravens came up with some licks and stuff like that, but now you have another divisional opponent next week. And you have to ask yourself, okay, how are we going to respond? Let's get to some of these questions, though, Daniel.
So one of these questions, I think this is actually a great point. I think it was from Michael Ruffin, 190. It was up a little bit.
And before we do, actually, if you guys give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live.
So Michael Ruffin said, it felt like the offense didn't evolve like I thought it would with RPOs and play actions. It's only week 1. So what was your thoughts? I mean, I'll be honest, I don't even remember seeing 1 RPO. So what was your thoughts? RPO play action.
I do. I thought that again. I just think that all the timing was just so off. So I don't think that me giving a response right would or my thoughts on it. I think my thoughts on it will be premature and baseless a little bit because I don't think that the RPO in its final form will be indicative of what it's going to be in a couple of weeks. Personally,
yeah. So Hunter Morse, thoughts on the offensive line play?
Listen, I'll tell you this, man. We kind of said it on the State of the Jungle as well. This was a tough measuring stick. Not every week do you go up against Zadarius Smith and Myles Garrett. Yeah. So you couple that with the fact that you're dealing with an aggressive defense coordinator, Jim Schwartz, they're going to throw exotic blitzes at you and stuff like that. When they already get pressure with Myles Garrett and Jonah Williams, I didn't think the offensive line played well today. But I also don't think that the play calling did it any favors. I'll say that. I don't think the play calling did it any favors, man. And that's just, that's what I gotta be honest with you. The play calling didn't do it any favors at all. But I think that Jonah Williams did. I mean, not Jonah Williams. Orlando Brown did a lot better than certain previous left tackles against Myles Garrett. The Browns also lined Myles Garrett up in different ways. He was rushing from the inside. Every time he rushed from the inside, he got pressure. At least, outside of I want to say maybe 1 or 2 plays, there was some symbol of resistance on the edge. So,
yeah. And looking at it more from the run game, I mean, I'm not going to say I was happy the entire time, but it was good. Mixon was making plays. And that's where, at the end of the day, the offensive line job is just to make, even if it's a small crease. And the Mixon that we saw last year wasn't taking advantage of those holes. And today there were some, and he showed, I mean, 4.3 yards a carry, and a couple of those were terrible runs at the end of the game when it was kind of already under wraps. So, I mean, the run game, I was kind of happy with how they looked.
Oh yeah, I would say that's the best part. I would say the running game, guys, we should be smiling because we saw some flashes with the running game. This is strictly on the coaching staff and Joe Burrow. I'm just being honest with you. The fact that they went away from the running game, especially that early on in the game, right? I understand you just paid your quarterback $275 million, $219 million guaranteed, and you have those star receivers, but you have to be able to reel that in and realize the opponent that you're going up against. And the opponent you're going up against is an aggressive Browns front that is going to try to be overly aggressive, that is going to throw exotic blitz at you, and that has one of the best pass rushers, if not the best pass rusher in all of the National Football League in Myles Garrett. So what do you have to do? You have to use that aggression against them, screens, and continuously run the ball. I would prefer that game plan versus sitting back there, first down, running the ball, second down, airing it deep, third down, airing it deep. At the very least, let's play a different game. Yep. At the very least, let's say you come out on the first down, you run the ball, right? And the Bengals different, they were getting yards, 4 or 5 yards. They were ripping them off. Well, in the second down, how about this? How about this? In the second down, if you want to go deep, right? If you want to go deep, boom, you go deep and you try to make a play happen. If
Yep.
Joe Burrow gets sacked or we get stopped behind the line of scrimmage, how about you do a better job of trying to make life easier for your defense and your punter? And you don't just say, you know what? Yeah, it's 3rd and 15. Let's air it out deep. How about we go 3rd and 15, hand it off, take some yards away, so that way you give our punter an opportunity to, and I wasn't impressed with Brett Robbins either, to be
Yeah.
quite honest with you. But again, I think the coaching staff has to own this loss. I really think the coaching staff and Joe Burrow have to own this loss.
So we got a question saying, was this Joe Burrow's worst career game? I'm looking at some of the numbers. I think by terms of yardage, 1000%.
Yeah,
He's
100%.
never, I think the lowest he's ever thrown was 143, and that was 2
Mhm.
years ago against the Raiders.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, I mean, this might go up there because I mean, you can look at some of the games where he threw like 2, 3 picks. This was hands out of my eyes his worst career game.
Mhm.
83 yards in an entire game.
Mhm.
I think it was his worst career
Yeah.
game. So
Yeah. I agree. Let's get to some more questions, Daniel.
all right. So some people are asking about the defense, right? Zach Carter. So overall, what was your thoughts on the defense, Zach Carter and Jermaine Pratt to
I
be
thought
specific?
Zach Carter and Jermaine Pratt looked great. I thought Zach Carter made that play that that went that allowed that interception from Dax Hill. Dax Hill looked phenomenal. Nick Scott looked like a heat seeking missile out there. DJ Turner was used in various different roles. He looked good. Cam Taylor Britt, hats off to you,
Yeah.
man. We just released a video literally talking about our expectations for Cam Taylor Britt this year. Cam Taylor Britt looked good. Chidobe Awuzie looked good. He looked like he's still trying to get his feet up under him a little bit. So all in all, I thought the defense played very, very well. But that shows you the continuity that's in this defense. They're used to playing with each other. But somebody that we need to talk more about that did really, really good job today, BJ Hill. BJ Hill
Yes.
played his
Yeah.
ass off today. And I want to make sure that I credit that. BJ Hill played his ass off because here we are on State of the Jungle talking about, we need to make sure we get an upgrade from the 3 tech position. Maybe we need that. We need more juice there. And BJ Hill played well. So, I want to just take my hats off to him.
I mean, you have to, right? You
Yeah.
look at him. He got a sack today, 2 QB hits.
Yeah.
So BJ Hill, and he's a guy where I mean, last year he was mainly like he wasn't a flashy guy. He was the guy.
And it's weird because when he first joined here,
Yeah.
he made you respect him. He basically forced the coach's hand and said, you know what? I know that you have a little Larry Okunjobi, but you know what? At the end of the day, you're gonna have to play me. So hats off to BJ Hill. BJ Hill looked like the guy that we had from the first year, honestly.
And overall, like I just look at it. The Bengals defense show they have playmakers. That was one of the things. Like Jermaine Pratt,
Mhm.
playmaker. Nick Scott, playmaker. Even Trey Hendrickson made big plays. So
Trey looked great.
Yeah.
And that's what I was hoping for,
Yeah.
man. I was hoping for Trey to get back into the fold. Losers. If we're talking about losers on the defense, because
Yes.
not everybody looked great. Mike Hilton for me is a loser.
Yes.
Mike Hilton for me in coverage didn't look too shabby. I'm sorry, didn't look good. It left some stuff to be desired out there. But his tackling is still good. Besides that one where Deshaun Watson ran it and stuff like that, we need to do better.
Yeah. And that's what we were talking about. I mean, there was that one out route, Elijah Moore. And obviously people could say, well, that's Elijah Moore. Well, yeah, but Mike Hilton's been, getting burnt time and time again. He got burnt last year against the Chiefs. So I think Hilton, I don't know if you want to start looking. I mean, once again, DJ Turner too, he got a lot of run today. So DJ Turner was the guy where he definitely stepped up. So yeah, Mike Hilton definitely has got to improve a little bit.
Right.
But looking at some of these other questions, overall, what was your thoughts? How do you think some people are asking about Deshaun Watson? How do you think that they played against Deshaun?
I think we know what Deshaun is, right? Deshaun Watson is a dual threat quarterback that can use his legs. And I think we should have respected that a little bit more. I don't think Deshaun Watson looked that great as a passer. He made some impressive throws, but he also missed a lot of throws. And honestly, if Deshaun Watson was the Deshaun Watson of old, this game might not be as close as it was. So yeah, I think that Deshaun Watson, I think he left us he gave us some opportunities out there and we just didn't take advantage.
So we got a good question from Tyler. He said, who was the best third down running back on the Bengals today?
The best third down running back on the Bengals today.
Because I know Chris Evans got snaps.
That's very
Travion got snaps.
I think Chris Evans was.
Yeah.
I think Chris Evans was. And it was good to see Chris Evans being given an opportunity, to be honest with you. But it's very difficult to say that because, and the reason why I say that, are you talking from a blocking perspective? Because if you're talking about from an impact perspective, I would say none of them because the coaching staff didn't give him an opportunity.
Yep.
The coaching staff completely shit the bed. That's just the best way I could put it. The fact of the matter is, Joe Mixon looked like he was ready to prove his doubters wrong.
Mhm.
And why would you go away from that? Why would you go away from that?
Yeah.
Why would you go away from that?
Yeah, and even there was times where Mixon, I mean, he had some. I don't know.
I mean, Mixon played a couple of third downs, but overall, they kept him out of the game third down. They kept him off as if to say again, you're back again with this tipping the hand BS, man.
Yep.
And that's what I'm talking about. You basically tell the defense that you're passing the ball because you take Joe Mixon out, who's our best back, who is a dual threat. Let me just say that is a dual threat. And you take him out the game. You take him out the game. So, but you're tipping our hand saying, okay, this is the pass. Okay, well, there goes any dynamic that he could potentially bring to the offense. And you lose a little bit of juice when Joe Mixon's not on the field. Joe Mixon's still a good back. He proved that today. But the fact of the matter is, the Bengals shot themselves in the foot today with ill-forced mistakes and errors and stuff like that. Listen, I think they'll bounce back. Yes, I think nobody's taking this loss harder than Joe Burrow. But I just want to remind everybody, and I'm happy that the Bengals community, the Bengals fan base realizes he could be criticized just as well as any other player could be criticized because he played like shit today. And you pay a guy that amount of money, you make him the highest paid player in the National Football League, you expect to see better. If he wasn't healthy, he shouldn't have been out there. But the fact of the matter is this, I really blame this on the coaching staff, honestly. I really do blame this on the coaching staff.
Yeah, and that's why, I mean, going back to the running backs, I agree. Like, Travion was okay in the running. I think he got 2 rushes. He was okay. But same thing, like Chris Evans had a nice third down run. It was obviously third and long. So you just want to see these guys, especially like Joe Mixon, 3 receptions on 5 targets. You want to see these guys get more runs. So question, or more of a statement from Matt Jenkins. He said the one issue with the defense was the cutback runs. The defense end lost containment too much on those.
Which is strange because that's really where they're usually strong at, especially Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrickson. That's usually where they're best at, honestly.
And it was weird, but every time it seemed, I mean, just from what I thought, they were going away from Sam Hubbard's side. It was always to the left side.
Sam Hubbard's one of the best run defensive ends in the league, if not top 3. I want to see somebody said, I'm sorry, but this was Joe Burrow's first game throwing with the glove too. I don't think it actually was. I think Joe Burrow has thrown with a glove a couple games, actually, especially during the Super Bowl run when he had a dislocated finger. But yeah, this was just one where I think it was really highlighted to it. I couldn't tell if it was a grip thing or if it was actually he had an injury. I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. But
it was because it was after that first hit.
Yep.
It was after that first hit where he with a pass rusher or was a blitz, guy came with a blitz, he hits him, and he did that. He kind of like shook his hand out or something like that. So he kept looking down at his hand. So I was like, okay, is it an injury? Is it the weather? Maybe a mix of both. I have no idea. I don't want to speculate thing, but it could be it could definitely just be a grip thing, but I wasn't sure. It was just kind of weird.
And that was the thing. It was very clear and it was very evident right away. Like the way the ball was coming off his hand, it wasn't normal. Like it was even a quick slant. It's like, that's not how Burrow normally is. So people can criticize his performance, and we obviously are, but it just didn't, I don't know. I'm not going to give him benefit of the doubt, but it was just a weird game. And yeah,
I'll be honest with you guys too, man. Like I had a weird feeling going into this. We talked about it on State of the Jungle. The Browns are just, they're not better than the Bengals. They're just designed better than like they're designed to match up well with the Bengals.
Yep.
And the fact of the matter is, I just think that time and time again, we see Zac Taylor get out coached against Kevin Stefanski, and that shouldn't be the case in year 5, especially a team. And it's weird, right? We know the Bengals are where the Bengals are going to be at the end of the season. We know the Bengals are going to be right in the thick of it. So, you take this one on the chin and you get better from it, which is why I say the AFC North it's the reason why I say AFC North is the best division, because it makes you battle tested, it makes you tough, and it's one of those things where it just makes you think. So
we got a question from Michael Ruffin up. He said, why didn't we see Miles Murphy on early downs against the run?
I just think Miles Murphy's young. He's a rookie. You don't want to put too much on him, right? You want to kind of lean on the players who have already been in the system. People like Cam Sample. I understand Miles Murphy has the first round tag and all that kind of stuff like that. But it's more so you want to see consistency over the course of training camp, practices, and stuff like that. I'm sure as the season develops, we'll start to definitely see more and more and more of Miles Murphy.
Yeah, we got some Deja Vu said Callahan can kiss head coaching job goodbye. I mean,
I won't say that necessarily. I think that in this business, I'll be honest with you guys, because I've gotten asked a lot of the times, especially from people that are outside of the Cincinnati media market. Does Lou Anarumo want to be a head coach? Does Callahan want to be a head coach? Cincinnati doesn't highlight their coordinators and stuff like that. I think a lot of this business is about who you know, right? Every team has bad performances. It's just for Brian Callahan's side of things. It happens to be is that Brian Callahan and Zac Taylor. It happens to be against the Cleveland Browns consistently. I don't think that that's indicative of his future as a head coach. It's the same thing like Jonathan Gannon. Are we going to judge Jonathan Gannon because he sucked against the Kansas City Chiefs? Probably not. But it's all about who you know. And I think that guy will, in all likelihood, will be head coach at some point.
So I want to talk about real quick. I want to get your thoughts. Cam Sample played a lot, 6 total tackles today. People saying he was, had an underrated game. What was your thoughts?
I thought Cam Sample looked good. I thought Cam Sample looked good. You know what's funny? Fred Betts just said this definitely will hurt Burrow's MVP chances. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. You can't put up 82 yards, and like you would expect. You just expected better. But I want to say I just don't think the coaching staff, and I don't know. I'll just say coaching staff and Joe Burrow because I don't know if he was changing plays at the line or whatever. I don't think that they gave him. I don't think that that did him any favors, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, it just sucks because this is not the same spot we were in last year, but it was like you look at the Cowboys game and it was just give your receivers a shot.
There's a chance.
Give them a chance. So that's why I don't think that we're gonna see that issue next week. I mean, obviously it's the Ravens and it's a divisional game, but I think the defenses are completely different. The Ravens don't present nearly the same defensive matchup that the Cleveland Browns did with Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, and even the cornerbacks. There is no Denzel Ward on the Baltimore Ravens. So that's why I'm not concerned. But you've got to obviously talk about it. So looking at, the rest of this game, Malik, look at the defense side. Who would you say is was your biggest winner on the defensive side?
Cam Taylor Britt, Daxton Hill, Nick Scott, Trey Hendrickson, Jermaine Pratt.
All right. So we got a question. Are you from Jacob Mann? He said, should we be worried for next week versus the Ravens?
Again, the Ravens had some injuries. It seemed like they had some. The Ravens didn't impress me. Ravens seemed like they were struggling a little bit at points in time against the Houston Texans.
Yep.
They rounded in form and they figured it out, and that's what you'd like to think. You want this team to figure it out. I'm concerned about the Ravens game next week. I'll just be honest with you guys. I'm concerned about it because I didn't expect this team to come out here and look that flat. I expected to see better things. Like we couldn't even put up a touchdown, man.
82 yards is ridiculous passing. That's, I don't know. Yeah. We just to talk a little bit as we were watching the game, it was like halftime and just looking at it, right? Halftime, you were down 10-0. You're fine. You're fine. You're down 10-0. Obviously, you start off a little flat, whatever. The weather starts getting better. Okay, let's turn around. Let's go take some more deep shots. Heading out of the third quarter into the fourth quarter, it's 13-3. You're down by 10 heading into the fourth quarter. We were fine.
I'll tell you what. I'm making a bold prediction.
Yeah.
I think the Bengals go back to form next week.
Yeah.
I do. Do I think everything will be perfect? No. But I do think that they're going to come out and they're going to look like a much better football team. The defense needs to continue to play how it's playing. The offense, I just also want to remind people the Ravens didn't have Mark Andrews, who's a big piece of that team.
Yeah.
Right? He's a big piece of that team. I'm sure he'll be playing next week against the Cincinnati Bengals, Lamar Jackson's favorite target. So it should be an interesting game, but I think the Bengals will still figure it out. I really do. I do.
Yeah. And the same thing that I was saying before this, I think just get Jamar Chase involved right away. He got 9 targets today, which is fine.
Yeah. Even beyond Jamar Chase, let's get T. Higgins involved. Let's get Tyler Boyd involved because you got it. One of the Joe Burrow's best attributes is his ability to distribute the ball to many different playmakers and, give his playmakers an opportunity. So that's what we want to see. So
Malik, this is more of a question. Irv Smith Irv Smith had 3 receptions today for 17 yards on 5 targets. Thoughts on Irv Smith?
Again, the quarterback play was completely off today. Everything was off today. So I'm gonna wait to hold judgment. If next week we looking at the same thing, we can start to talk about it because if you're starting 0-2 again for the second year in a row, that's a problem.
All right, we got a question from Joel. He
Mhm.
said, "I thought Brad Robbins would have done better." What are
I
your
agree.
thoughts?
I agree 100%. But I kind of said that at points in time in the preseason too. I just wasn't overall in theory. It seems like that's just a spot that just keeps it feels like we have the opportunity to get like really good at the position and we just like get we upgrade. But what are we upgrading from?
Yeah.
What we had the year before? Um, yeah, yeah, I that's just my thought process.
Yeah. We were just, I mean, people are just asking about the Bengals' lack of a long passing game. So question for you would be, when you're looking at, T. Higgins and you're looking at Tyler Boyd, how do you, I guess it's more of a basic question, but how do you get them more involved? I mean, they were how would you get them more involved?
T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd.
Yeah.
I mean, you could run jet sweeps with Tyler Boyd. You can have send Tyler Boyd more in motion. Doesn't always have to be Jamar Chase. I like the thing they were doing with the mesh route concepts, kind of just getting Jamar Chase in an isolated situation today. But I still believe Tyler Boyd is one of the X factors in this offense as well, because obviously the attention is going to shift to Jamar Chase, to a T. Higgins. So how do you alleviate some of that pressure? Like be more creative. And I know it's easier to say, but I definitely think that there is a way, man. There definitely is a way, right? Just let's not key in on one guy,
Yep.
right? Or one guy specifically.
So we got a couple people asking this, but Keith Bradley said, Malik, do you think Tyler Boyd's comments about Joe leaving T the short end of the stick, think that played a factor in T's
I,
play?
I don't know if he said that directly necessarily. I know people alluded to that, but I do think either way for a team that is competing for a championship, because that's what the Bengals are competing for, obviously. I thought that was kind of out of pocket, just putting it bluntly, because it's not his. I mean, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He didn't play like it today, he played like shit, but you expect to see more. Yeah, I mean, and but I just thought that the comments were unwarranted, and those are certain things you just keep in house.
We got Will saying, I didn't hear Logan Wilson's name very much either. I mean, yeah, but I thought Logan played well. I think he had a huge stop on third
Yes,
down.
yes.
So Logan, I think, and that's the difference with defensive play. I feel like a lot of people want to hear the names, but it's the same thing with cornerbacks. If you're not hearing a guy's name, a lot of times that's a good thing. So
Yeah.
Logan Wilson obviously got to go back and look at the tape and
Mhm.
see, okay, on those cutback runs, was that his run fit? Was that his spot to, make the play? But a lot of times Logan was in the right spot. So he made a big stop on that third down. My only concern with the defense wasn't necessarily how they played, but I mean, it was more so Deshaun just missed a lot of throws too, that I
Mhm.
feel like,
A
okay,
lot.
if he would have made that throw, I mean, there were a couple that, one of those, I think it was a 15-yard, comeback route, hit the receiver's hands, dropped it. What type of game would we be seeing if the quarterback played a lot better? Because
I
Deshaun didn't play
He didn't.
great.
And one thing I want to talk about, the Bengals were 2 of 15 on third down today. They consistently, but that we focus so much on third down, not you guys. I'm just talking about like just in general. We focus a lot in on third down, but the down we should really be talking about is second down.
Yep.
We should be talking about second down so much. The first down is obviously a scripted play, right? Typically, you come out there and you run the ball. The second down play, what are you doing? If the running game is working, there is no handbook, rule book that says, hey, you run on first down and the second down, you go shotgun play action, empty set. Like there's no rule book that says that. So if the running game gives you a chunk of 4 yards, right? Right? If the
Yeah.
running game gives you a chunk of 4 yards, you could run the ball again. You can run the ball again. It's okay. It's not a crime. It's not going to be penalized, against you. So that's just my thought
And then
process.
even just add on to that, it feels like there is no real rhythm. They'll do the exact opposite, right? They'll go on first down if it's an incomplete pass, and then they'll go and run
Mhm,
the ball on second down. It's like, what are you doing? Like,
mhm.
okay, incomplete pass on first down, then you just run the ball for 2 yards. Now you're in a 3rd and 8, and you didn't even take a real shot, so you're not threatening the defense. So I think a lot of it, and it sounds, like we're making it very simple, but I think a lot of it is simple. You just got to change up the play calling and you have to threaten the defense from the get-go. You can't be, this lackadaisical basic throw 5 yards, throw 5 yards. So that's my thoughts on the offense. So
I mean, the offense lost the game.
yeah.
But this has been a common theme like for a long, long time. Like the defense has always played better than the offense, and we just sometimes forget that. If the defense is on the field several times, right? If the defense is on the field much longer than than the offense, you're bound to have missed coverages. You're bound to mess up because the defense gets fatigued, just like the offense could get fatigued, just like anything. It makes a lot of sense. It's the reason why Brad Robbins started off a little bit stronger, and then as the game continued on, he just fell off. So.
And like at the end of the day, you can't have your punter punt 10 times.
Yeah.
That's you can't if you're in a position where your punter's punting 10 times.
I also think that the Bengals could have been aggressive a little bit earlier on. Like I really do. I think that they could have been aggressive. I think they could have been aggressive earlier, like in the fourth quarter. Like to me, I didn't understand the aggression down the stretch when it's clearly at certain points, especially when facing the Cleveland Browns. When we released our keys to victory, we talked about if the Cleveland Browns get a lead, where they're going to have success is running the ball out, running the clock out. And at that point, that. So, like where if you're facing another team and you are set to get the ball back, let's say 3 to 4 times in the fourth quarter with the Cleveland Browns, cut that in half. So expect to get the ball back 2 times because they're going to run the clock out. They're going to, they're going to take the air out of the football and they're going to force you to make stops on them. That's what they're going to do.
And just when we were looking at it, I think like midway through third quarter, Nick Chubb was doing meh. He was doing fine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where when you look at the biggest questions about this team and you look at the defense and the secondary, they made plays. You won the turnover battle. You had 2 turnovers. Your main strip, Dax Hill interception. The defense did its job for, all the questions about from the outside noise. Well, they lost Jesse Bates. Well, they lost Von Bell. The defense did its job.
Always.
Even after the Browns, had their run, they only scored 23 points. Their offense wasn't going. So that's definitely just the hard pill to swallow. And it's going to even hurt later on in the season when you're like, damn, that was the game. Trees with
Tom Brooks. We're not being hard on the Bengals, but it's important to talk about those things. We understand they were in the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl. We're talking about listen, that's why we're having this discussion, because the expectations are higher. You expect them to come out the gate stronger. You might have missed the beginning where we said we expect them to be in the playoffs. We expect them to have success. No one is knocking that. No one is saying that isn't going to happen. But that does not, that does not mean that they can't be open to criticism. That does not mean that them putting up 3 points against the Cleveland Browns, a division rival who they've struggled with for the last 5 years, is acceptable. It's not, right? And it goes back to what I was saying a couple of years ago. Bengals fans, this is the new norm, meaning you should want better for this football team. The measuring stick isn't scoring 3 points against the Cleveland Browns. You are a Super Bowl contender. You are a team that is expected to be in the AFC Championship. So the fact of the matter is, it's important to hold this team accountable. Joe Burrow did say it's the new standard. So if that's the new standard, why would we settle for anything less? Like even the Pittsburgh Steelers with all their flaws still put up 7 points today against a 49ers team that was rolling on them at home. Yeah. And the Bengals put up 3 points. That is what I'm saying. And they just made their quarterback the highest paid quarterback. The highest paid player in the National Football League. Again, got to be better. Hats off to the Cleveland Browns too, as well, for sticking to their game plan and making a game plan that worked, right? So they understood taking the air of the football, moving, using Deshaun Watson out of the pocket, moving him off spot. So, hats off to them on that victory for sure.
And just looking at, there's a bunch of stuff I want to talk about right after this, but looking at the Browns real quick, like Deshaun Watson, I thought his best play was hands down the touchdown run. Mm-hmm. That was something where that's just a damn good play. Like obviously you could have had containment, but man, just drawing the offense the entire way, run with Nick Chubb, and then Deshaun cuts back the other way. So I thought that was good. And even their defense too, man, hats off Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, even the cornerbacks, man, I thought their cornerbacks played their asses off. So a couple of the questions, Fred Betts makes, the obvious question, go for it on your own 37-yard line, whatever it was. What was your thoughts, Malik, when they went for it? I think it was the fourth quarter already.
Yeah. At that point that you're trying to just try anything, trying to make things work. But for me, if that's the identity you're going to go with, trying to make things work, then keep going with it. Don't just go away from it at that point if you're actually trying to win. So again, we take the loss on the chin. We'll get better, Bengals fans. Um, yeah, it left a lot to be desired out there. Disappointment. If you guys could do us a huge favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on post notifications. Also, make sure you guys follow First Star Logistics on Twitter. Every single week the Bengals have a game. First Star Logistics will be doing a giveaway. This past week's giveaway was the opportunity to win a Jamar Chase signed helmet. I'm excited to see what this week's giveaway is going to be.
So we got a question up the ways. Let me figure out who this was from again. But he said, Bailey said, "Are you guys concerned that they quit with so much time left, or are you thinking that they didn't want injuries?" I'll be honest. I mean, they quit with like what 5 minutes left. They took Joe Burrow out. I'm not concerned. I mean, you can say that, like, you can question that. I think last year there was, a couple teams that did that week 17. I'm not concerned, man. The Bengals knew, I'll be honest. Yeah, they quit. And I'm sure that Joe Burrow and Zac Taylor will tell you, yeah, we knew we weren't going to win the game.
I think quit is harsh.
Okay,
I think quit is a harsh word.
Rest.
I I mean, there's I think that they waved the white flag and they basically saved themselves to fight for another day.
Yeah.
That's what it did. There's no need to have your quarterback was out for the last 6 weeks taking necessary hits. I think that's what it came down to. I don't think it had anything to do with quote unquote quitting. I know that's the terminology, but quitting is, I don't think any player quits or any coach quits. I just think that it wasn't working. Smart. So they were trying to be smart. You want to save the fight today. The Browns got us. So move forward. Head held high. Move forward.
Matt Jenkins said Bates had 2 picks today. Good. Congrats, Sam. Mm-hmm. We got some questions. People saying only week 1. Let's keep that in mind. I understand that. Mm-hmm. Good question from Seagriff. He said, "I thought the special teams was just as bad. Jones needs to run vertically and not horizontally." Thoughts on Charlie Jones? I
feel like sometimes when the Bengals put punt returners back there, they do it based upon sure-handed guys versus guys that are actually going to give you the best opportunity for explosive plays, which I understand because they've had both before and they've had it, that's all I'll say.
Yeah, and just looking at it, Honest Fan said, yeah, Jamar and Joe looked both very frustrated at times. I mean, they have a right to. Like, they were playing bad. Joe Burrow, I'm sure, will tell you, him slamming down his helmet, he was probably pissed at himself times too. Mm-hmm. So we got a question. Fred Betts said, who scores the first touchdown for the Bengals this year? Who catches Joe Burrow's first touchdown pass? I mean, it could be anybody, obviously. I
thought it was going to happen today. We'll say the first touchdown pass, probably T. Higgins. That's what I think. T. Higgins.
Yeah. I bet. I'll say a different one. I think Joe Mixon will probably catch one, a little flare route, and he'll catch one. And I don't know, man. This just one last thing. I'm trying to not wrap my head around this, but what changes next week? You just go back to the drawing board and reset, right? I mean, I don't think the Bengals are going to dwell on this too much. Like, we saw this last year.
You can't dwell on it. Listen, the Cleveland Browns are a team. It's not like the Cleveland Browns are a team that have had your number for quite some time. And for the last, and it's weird, right? Because with Andy Dalton era, I feel like we dog them. And it just changes. And that's okay. That's okay. It's not okay, but it's okay because you have to be okay in order to move on to the next week. And the focus is on the Baltimore Ravens. You guys can tune into State of the Jungle for this upcoming week for our preview for that and our keys to victory for that. But the fact of the matter is, in terms of what changes next week, I think establishing an offensive identity and not going away from what works. If the running game is working, utilize that. For the Ravens, I would say the running game is probably going to be a lot tougher because of just their style of brand. They want to eliminate the running game. They want to load the box against you. We know that they have some injuries at the cornerback position, especially we don't know if Marlon Humphrey's going to play or not. I would take advantage of that. And I think that's where you can have those big plays with your quarterback and you can see all those different weapons be involved and stuff like that. But I think the Bengals are going to get back to Bengals football sooner rather than later.
I agree. And one last thing I wanted, not as a preview, but I think, the Ravens are very, very obvious with what they're going to do. They're going to bring pressure. They're going to run that two safeties, zone. And I think we're going to see the same thing. Please use Joe Mixon on third down. Use your running back on third down. We saw it a little bit today.
Give him a chance.
Like Malik, we saw it a little bit today. Even Burrow had a couple overthrows to Mixon. I think that's not the name of the game, but we saw it all last year. It's safe for Joe Burrow. So for anybody expecting something out of next week, I would expect a lot of little dump offs to Joe Mixon, a lot of dump offs to Chris Evans, just to keep getting the offense rolling. Jeffrey Rice said J.K. Dobbins is out with an Achilles. I agree. Like, obviously it sucks. And that's the one thing. It's terrible, obviously, is injuries.
Yeah.
So what would you say, Malik? Look at the other, divisional teams. How do you feel the other divisional teams played this week? I know we touched on the Ravens a little bit.
I wasn't really impressed with the Ravens. Browns looked how I thought they were going to look. They're a tough team. They're hard nosed. They're the Bengals' Achilles heel in this division. Steelers looked like, yeah, I'll say that. I'm not going to say it, but yeah, Steelers struggled today. The AFC North should still be the Bengals division. It's about, can they not be in their own way? Can they not shoot themselves in the foot? We all know that. It's the reason why, teams play the Bengals the way in which they do play them. They try to do their best to try to limit the explosive offensive plays because they understand there is a real threat. Regardless, beyond the trash talk, there's respect there. There's respect for the Bengals offense. There's respect for the Bengals talent. And yeah, that's what I got to say.
Malik, question from Michael Ruffin. Should Zac Taylor pass the play calling to Callahan? It's been questionable every year and at certain times.
He made that very clear. That's off the table. And it was very clear to me via text message last year when I did a show and I ranted about it that that's not ever happening. So yeah, just I'm sorry. I was told it was it's a collective decision. A lot of people are involved, aka Zac Taylor is keeping the offensive play calling. But guys, I want to let you guys get back to your football Sunday night. We appreciate you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of the Sit Down Malik, right? Bengals Browns recap. And I'm excited for this week. State of the Jungle this week, Wednesday, 7 p.m. You get to hear me preview the Ravens along with the rest of the crew of State of the Jungle. Make sure you guys give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel because every single week we'll be coming at you guys live talking about these things. I also have a special announcement. You guys let us know down in the comment section what 3 games you want us to do a live cast for, meaning we'll be actually doing a live cast while the game is going on. A lot very similar to the Manning cast or something, but I think it'll be much more tailored to Bengals fans. So you guys let us know what games you guys would like us to do the a cast for, essentially, and basically sit down and watch football with you guys and go live. You guys let us know the 3 games that you guys would like us to do that for this year, and we'll definitely make sure that we do it, and we'll react to the plays live with you. So until next time, we appreciate you guys for tuning in to the Sit Down Malik Wright.